officials the declaration giving them notice that we are aware they are fraud and the government of Trinidad and Tobago must disband, come off our lands, right? Disband the government. There are chiefs already here waiting to take back up the indigenous position, the organic positions, and carry the land back to its original state. Show me, I don't care who's the worst criminal, right? I don't care what side they're from. They are criminal directly because of the fraud and the stealing of organic people's land and setting up a corporation here and creating a rat race and telling people wealth is what they say it is and actually not what natural wealth is, right? So Trinidad and Tobago, the corporation, is the reason for the crime. I don't care, all the crimes, and it is evident. Had we been living indigenous, had we had no rat race to compete in, right, we'd have been living indigenous, bartering food. Nobody won't run nobody down for, because one person in this system that they call democracy, demon crazy, right? They have one person holding all the wealth, right? While some people can eat tomorrow, right? And most of the people that they do this to is the people who look like me and you, who actually are indigenous and own these lands that these people feeding the fat offer, right? And operating like greedy capitalists. So they love this system. This system is over. It's crashed. The government is non-existent. Trinidad and Tobago Corporation is non-existent as of its official since the 7th of this year, 7th of February this year, 2022. So yes, the British Empire and the Queen also was involved. The so-called Queen was involved in that slave trade. But what is more important to know, they were also involved in stealing the indigenous lands for the people who were already here, like my ancestors, right? They stole those lands from these people here, set up a corporation here. We had treaties with them. They continue to violate the treaties to this day, right? So now we want them off the land. There's some things you need to know about Elizabeth II if you didn't know before. Elizabeth II, apart from the common theme that she was involved in the slave trade, as a matter of fact, the British Empire had a big part to play in that. But what is noteworthy also is that she's a fraud, right? It has been proven that she is a fraud. The documents are out there. It's been public notice since 2011, right? And there's not one case proven that. I think it's about two. In 2013, the common law court issued a warrant for her arrest, right? A one-year warrant for her arrest. So it is important to note that Elizabeth II is a fraud, right? So as it pertains to this island and the history of this island in terms of the 1976 Trinidad Act enacted by her, all those things are fraud. That act was voided on the 7th of February this year by me, right? Up to now it hasn't been challenged. They cannot challenge it. They can't rebut it point for point because it's quite impossible to do, right? Everything stated in that declaration is facts and it was notarized by one of their own. As a direct relation to this fraud, right? We have things like crime, plague in our lands, domestic violence. All these things are a direct effect of the fraud that was bargained between Elizabeth and the corporation setting up on this land, right? And your so-called founding father was responsible for negotiating that corporation setting up on our lands, right? And this is why now we have this crime, because we was living indigenous. We had no want for nothing. We had everything that we had before. And they introduced this corporation called Trinidad and Tobago, this business deal with Elizabeth II, right? Take people out of the natural way of living, turn everything into a rat race and tell you living like this is being poor, rubbish. I have food here, we barter from here straight to the chiefs them in south. That we are aware they are fraud and the government of Trinidad and Tobago must disband, come off our lands, right? Disband the government. There are chiefs already here waiting to take back up the indigenous position, the organic positions, and carry the land back to its original state. It will help with the climate, it will help with everything else. You understand? So this is noteworthy about the Queen, as we're touching on that subject about the Queen. She is a fraud. I'm not saying that. This is a proven case. You'd see the evidence. We have the docket file for her arrest warrant. All those type of things is real. So people need to understand this. You understand? And how it pertains to you. The court that operates here, the highest court of appeal that operates here, is the Privy Council. That is not on this island. That is in England, right? And so then, how they calling themselves independent, this corporation called Trinidad and Tobago, how they calling themselves independent when they are running under Elizabethan law? You follow? So it's a whole fraudulent system. They're operating under fraud, right? And this is the call to come off. Your time is up. We don't want you here no more. We don't want your system here no more. The lands is the organic indigenous people's land. And we're here taking it back. Move out our way and let us continue to do our stuff. So as it pertains to once the government is disbanded and indigenous people start back to control the lands, we are already functioning. So I know that will be a question on people's minds. Well, hey, he calling for the disbanding of the government. What kind of crazy thing is that? So what will happen? Listen, indigenous people, as a matter of fact, all styles of government on the planet was patterned after the 7 Iroquois nations. We started that style of governance, and they copied it and turned it into this rat race, capitalist mentality that we have here today.